What's up, everybody? Welcome back to GameOnia with your boy Bill and Joel, the Retro Lizard.
What is up, everyone? Yo, Bill Tendo, you look like one of those guys, one of those bosses you got to beat in a farming video game.
In a farming simulator? Fuck you.
Oh, that's good. I've been waiting to use that all fucking day.
Yeah. You look like a dude that you got to knock out because they being too rowdy and they sitting behind you at one of the football games.
I'm
yelling in your ear the whole time.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be me this Sunday. I'm going to the fucking playoff game, man. It's a home game in Buffalo. I've never been to a playoff game.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, being a Buffalo fan, I'm sure you haven't.
No, I wouldn't. Fuck off. I mean, they keep making the playoffs, and we finally get a home game. So I texted my cousin, or I called my cousin, and I'm like, yo, you ever been to a playoff game? And he's like, no. And I'm like, me neither. I'm like, you want to go? And he's like, yeah, I do. He's like, how much? I'm like, what's your budget? He told me his budget. I'm like, all right, let me see what I can find.
Right.
So I hopped online real quick when I was on the phone with him, and I used to have season tickets. Get this, right? This is going to blow your mind a little bit probably when I talk about price here too, about season tickets. So
blow it.
So back in 2010, I had season tickets for 2 years. Back in 2010, 2011, I had season tickets for both of those seasons. My boys have had season tickets since 2003, right? There was a group of 6 guys. There's always been a 5th seat, and somebody's always rotating in that 5th seat. So for 2 years, I rotated in it. My season ticket was corner end zone, section 106, 7 rows up from the field. $520 for the season tickets.
What?
I swear to God, that's because we sucked. We were terrible, right?
Yeah,
now season tickets are like, I asked my boys last season, I'm like, how much are season tickets now? And they're like, it's like $900. I'm like, oh shit. So I ended up finding 2 tickets for this Sunday's game in section 107, not 7 rows up. I'm in row 35. I'm more towards the top where the entrance is to get into the section. But I'm section 107, one section over from my boys, and dead center seat. So it's going to be fucking great. Whether we win or lose, I don't care. I just get to say that I finally went to a Buffalo Bills playoff game.
Right.
So,
growing up in New Orleans, I don't know if I mentioned this before.
That you grew up in New Orleans? No, never.
No, that we had a really long history of never winning shit. The Saints were the biggest choke artists in the NFL. They would get to the playoffs like every 3 to 5 years and then blow it in the first round of the playoffs.
You're in the playoffs this year. Did you know that?
No, I haven't been watching.
Yeah, you're in the playoffs this year. You're probably going to blow it.
Yeah. So much so that the first time they ever won the first round of the playoffs, my uncle got a tattoo with the fleur-de-lis on it on his arm, and it said New Orleans Saints 1992 NFC Champ West.
Didn't you tell me that he graded something off?
Well, the next year was one of their worst years ever. And Uncle Ed had my Uncle Earl take a pair of needle nose pliers and pull the S out of it. So he had like a chunk out of his arm where that S was. But back then, you could, like, I remember when I was about 18 years old, they were so terrible. You could get season tickets for like $250.
Right.
And like growing up, they had what was called the bag heads, which was people went to the games, but they went with paper bags over their heads.
No shit.
Yeah. Tickets were like $10, dude.
Yeah. Bills tickets were like $10 at one point too back in the day. So I got into the Bills, as a kid growing up in the 90s, early 90s at least, everybody was all about the Buffalo Bills. I didn't even really watch football back then, but I was like, yay, Buffalo Bills. And then I like fell off it for years. And like 2004, 2005, my buddies gave me a bunch of free tickets to go to the games with them that season. And that was awesome. That was a blast. But tickets back then were like, they were practically just giving them away. You can go to Pizza Hut and get like a family 4-pack of Bills tickets plus a large pizza for like $100.
Right.
Back then. That was literally a deal. I'm not kidding. They did the same thing with Saber seasons too. When the Sabres were doing so fucking bad that they would give away Sabres packs at Pizza Hut, like 4 tickets for like $120. And you were getting like 100 level seats too. You were getting good seats. So, oh yeah, shit. That was a thing, huh?
Yeah, it really was a thing. When you click on the images, yep.
Holy shit.
Look at it, dude. Oh, it was a big time thing.
Hey, they still paid money to go to the games though.
Yeah. What's up, Jimmy Jams?
I mean, for the longest time, the Patriots had our number. We couldn't beat the Patriots for the life of us.
Yeah.
But we were also a pretty shitty team, though, at that point, too, when Tom Brady was on the Patriots. But the first time we beat the Patriots at home with Tom Brady playing was like 2011, and that was like our Super Bowl, man. We beat the fucking piss out of them. It was home opener, too. We beat the piss out of them that game. I'll never forget that game. I thought they were going to rip down the goalposts.
Big deal, huh?
Yeah.
Yep. I remember when the Saints won the Super Bowl. That was cool as shit.
I remember when the Bills lost 4 Super Bowls. That wasn't cool.
Fucking bet you did.
Yeah, I fucking do. This is it, dude. I got a weird feeling that the Bills are going to go, though. It's because there's a pretty decent chance with everybody that's playing.
So the Bills have been to the Super Bowl numerous times. Have they ever won?
No, they've only been to the Super Bowl 4 times, and that was 30 years ago.
Yeah, but still made it there. But, like Saints history isn't that good. Saints haven't been in the Super Bowl 4 times.
Right. Yeah, the Bills never won the bowl. I mean, but then we didn't make the playoffs for 20 years.
Right.
Yeah, we went 17 or 18 seasons, but it felt like 20 years that we didn't make the playoffs. 1999 was the last time we made the playoffs until 2017. We made it to the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor, and then we didn't make the playoffs again until 2020 with Josh Allen, and 2019 we made the playoffs with Josh Allen, and then 2020 until now we're the division champions 4 years in a row. 5 years in the playoffs with Josh Allen, 4 years in a row division champions.
Yeah. Jim said he lived in Texas.
Dallas ran the Bills that game. Yeah, I remember that game.
Remember when the Cowboys used to win games, and it's been like 30 years, 25 years since they've won?
Fucking Bills handed their ass until a couple weeks ago, though. Where I was fucking chatting, where them boys at? Them boys going home.
Yeah.
Them boys going home.
Them boys.
Them boys going home,
them
son.
Boys.
They're in the playoffs, though, too. You know, it's a crazy year for football, man. Fucking
dude,
the Eagles are in a wild card spot.
Look,
now.
Let me tell you something. I always make fun of you and people from Buffalo, and I'm like, man, you guys really get excited about a mediocre ball club, right?
Oh yeah.
Now the thing is, you don't have the Super Bowl. You don't have to win, but you guys have hope. You have hope in your team, even though for 20 years, every year was a rebuilding year, right? That's what you told. All right. So Jimmy is from Texas, and them motherfuckers don't have hope. But they have a distant fucking memories that they cling to, man.
He's not a Dallas fan, just an Emmitt Smith fan. Emmitt Smith doesn't even play football anymore.
Well, you know what, Jimmy? Let's be fair. Back in the day, everybody was an Emmitt Smith fan.
That's like saying I'm not a Dallas fan. I'm a Terrell Owens fan.
That's like my uncle saying, "Man, that Deion Sanders sure can play, but I don't like all that showboating."
Best rapper alive. You remember that rap fucking album he put out?
No, but I did have the rap album by Roy Jones Jr. and I loved it.
Holy shit. Yeah, Deion put out a rap album like 95.
Wild.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Unnecessary.
The song was I Got the Money, I think it was. I think that was his hit. So there used to be this thing back in the day on cable TV. I don't know if you had it or if it was anywhere outside of Buffalo.
No, I didn't have cable.
It was called The Box. And do you know what The Box is? The music
Box
channel?
It was like pay-per-view MTV, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I experienced The Box in 1992, I believe it was, when I was shipped off to Asheville, North Carolina to Job Corps up in the mountains. Yeah,
okay.
that's where I learned about the box. We didn't have it.
So I didn't know about the box until like 95. We moved from the suburbs to the city, and the cable station, Channel 61, was the box station. And then, of course, at midnight, it turned into the Spice Channel. And you're trying to watch it through the squiggly lines. But the Deion Sanders, I would just sit there and leave the box on and just listen to music. And people were just calling all the time and order the Deion Sanders song. It was like $2.50 a song, charged to your phone bill.
Right.
Like, if I ever called in and did that, my mom would have whooped my ass.
Oh, dude. So we used to. All right. So we were old school poor, which meant putting everything in somebody else's name.
Yeah.
Right.
People still do that.
Yeah, well, I actually have terrible stories about that, but we had 3 different phone lines completely cut off because my sister would do this weird thing in her early teens, 13, 14, and I think she knocked it off by the time she was 15, but she would like call Hong Kong and just talk to random people for hours.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, long distance? Holy shit, long distance back then was no joke.
And you know how, like I said, we were old school poor, so everything went in somebody else's name, right?
Yeah, the phone bill's in your name this month.
So my dad and I have the same name.
Okay.
So when I turned 18 years old, I had to pay off $5,000 in bills.
Holy shit.
That were in collections under my name.
Holy shit.
Yeah, was not an easy pill to swallow, bro.
Oh man, I could only imagine. I would be pissed. Happy 18th birthday. Here's 5G's worth of debt.
Right.
Oh man, I would have argued to be like, yo, I just turned 18. How is this bill in my fucking name?
Yeah, it was like unpaid cable bills, electric bills, water bills, stuff like that.
Columbia House, BMG Music.
Oh no, those were me, man. Columbia House ain't never got their fucking money because
fuck no.
I would put like William Joseph Chapetta with a G for the Joseph, right?
Oh, I would put Joe Gorski. I'd put Josh Gorski. I'd put fucking, so many different fucking Gorskis on there. They're like, my mom would be like, who are all these people? I'm like, they're me. Thanks for the CDs.
I think Columbia House still fucking looking for me. At one point, me and my dad had a nice little hustle when I was like 16 years old, I guess. My mom and dad got a divorce, and me and my dad were living together, and we were both working and splitting the bills. By that time, I had dropped out of school, and I was working full-time. And we lived together for a short period of time. But what we did was we would both order tons of BMG and Columbia House under fake names. And when the CDs got there, my dad would take them straight to the pawn shop. In the pawn shop, we wouldn't even open them. They'd still be in the plastic. They would give you $10 each for them because at the time, a CD was $25.
Yep.
And they would give my dad $10 each for unopened CD.
Because they're brand new.
Yeah, all of that shit fucking 40 for a penny and, Yeah.
My mom would be like, where are you getting all this money from for these CDs? I'm like, yeah, I'm not.
Columbia House still looking for me, bro.
I'm surprised that those companies lasted as long as they did, man. They lasted till like 2001, 2002. They went into the DVD thing. It was then Columbia turned into Columbia House.
Because
BMG was gone. DVDs. Yeah, BMG was gone, but then it turned into Columbia House DVDs. So, because CDs were fading away. Well, they weren't really fading away at that point, but CDRs were the thing to do, to burn CDs. So they were losing money. CDs weren't worth shit anymore back in like 2002, 2003.
Mm-hmm.
I still go online and fucking rip music.
I ain't paid for music in 15 years, unless I buy CDs at garage sales. I really do.
Right. Because you can get them for like $1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't even have a CD. I mean, I have CD players in the cars, but I use my phone. Everything's on my phone. You got
a PlayStation, right?
I got 70 gigs worth of music on my phone from when I had my iPod, and I was downloading music and fucking putting music on my iPod. So I just keep switching it over from phone to phone to phone to phone.
Yeah. I do that, but however, when I'm driving, I like to listen to CDs because I feel like, all right, I've talked about this with people before, and I feel like you don't get the full musical experience as it was presented when you listen to, say, your Spotify playlist and stuff like that. Because what you do is you tend to listen to greatest hits and then the deep cuts that you found that you like, but people don't listen to full albums back, song to song to song anymore.
I do.
But yeah,
Believe it or not.
but the majority of people don't. So
Right.
what I like is I like to put the CD in the CD player when I'm on a drive, and I made sure that my truck had a CD player in it to play my CDs and listen to the whole album. Like if you listen to Stone Temple Pilots Core,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They come in really hard with those first two songs and you all amped up, and then the third song starts and it's real low key, and so it brings you down, and it's just a little guitar picking, mellow music, kind of jazzy, bluesy for about a minute, and then it kicks up into the hardcore again. And I feel like the combinations of songs, the way they were set up on CDs, were a musical experience that you had to experience from beginning to end, because there was a reason that those tracks were put in that order.
That's why we talk about albums.
Yes.
We don't talk about songs. We talk about albums. Kids these days talk about songs. They don't listen to albums. We talk about albums, man, because we listen to our CDs or our tapes or records for some of those people back to back. But when you're in the car, I'm that dude that, when I'm in the car, I'm listening to the same CD, the same album. It's because it's an album now. It's not a CD, but I'm listening to the same CD now for like a week at a time. Yeah. Like I've been listening to Ozzy Osbourne. What the fuck is it called? Not Loser. The Ultimate Sin. That's the album. Ultimate Sin. I keep thinking the fucking song. I've been listening to the Ultimate Sin album for almost 2 weeks now in my car, back to back. I just let it play, back to back. That's what I do. That's just how I grew up. Especially when I got a car. When I got a car, I put the CD in. I had systems in my car, systems and shit in my car and everything, but I would put the CD in, and that was that CD that I listened to, man. I didn't go song to song and hop to hop like I'm a fucking DJ on the radio, So I still do that. My kid gets in the car and she's like, "Why are you still listening to that album?" Because I like this album. Right. Like I'm enjoying it when I'm in the car. I only listen to music when I'm in the car. I don't listen to music anywhere else. I don't listen to music when I'm working. I don't do any of that. I listen to music in the car when I'm driving, and I'm in the car for like sometimes I'm in the car for like 2 hours a day, driving around.
That's crazy. The last album I listened to, and I listened to quite a few times, was actually Marilyn Manson, Antichrist Superstar.
Okay.
Really enjoy that album, and I put it on like a month ago, and I listened to it for like 2 or 3 weeks straight because I don't drive that much, right?
Right.
So what I realized from that album is, he had a couple radio songs on that album. You got
to listen to the ones that aren't
Beautiful People and Tourniquet, and you realize how poppy those songs are. And it's hard to call those songs poppy, but when you listen to Antichrist Superstar in its entirety, you realize just how metal Manson actually was at that time, and that those sound like absolute fucking pop songs in comparison. You listen to a song like 1996, even the last song on the album, The Boy That You Fear, it's a slow song, but even that is like, I see why they never played this on the radio. It's just got a not radio vibe, Joel, you're mute. Nope. So now Joel's just got to listen to me talk till he fixes audio. Joe, you just got that microphone and now it don't work. I still can't hear you. Okay, I'm assuming Joel's going to fix his microphone. In the meantime, enjoy the musical stylings of Bill Tendo. Joe gonna fix his microphone. He gonna get it working again. Not yet. Can't hear you at all, homie. If anybody else can hear Joel, please let me know, because I can't. Dude, I don't think you hit. Did you hit a button or something? Did you hit a mutie? Nope, nothing. Nothing. You're not muted on my end. Check your end. The little screen down at the bottom. You should have a microphone symbol. It is a song that won records originally. You had to flip to side B. They separate both parts in the separate song. Up, Joel dipped out. He's probably going to dip right back in. So, yes, streaming services are unreliable. Not only do they do stuff like that, catch, but they also do things like they'll replace a song with an edited version of the song. You know, like Michael Jackson's Black or White, he used an anti-Semitic term in it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, my headphones went out, and then
Yeah.
you said you couldn't hear me, and I was trying to get my headphones back on, so I had to. My computer said that the microphone was working, so that's why I just left and came back in. All right. Anyways, Marilyn Manson. So a lot of those songs obviously weren't meant for the radio though either.
Obviously,
because you, like you said, that even the last song on the album, that's not a song meant for the radio. Period. But
right, even though there's no cursing or anything in it, it's just the wrong vibe for radio.
Exactly. Yeah, nobody's playing those types of things on the radio at all because you don't got the vibe for it. But he made, just like other people and every other fucking mainstream media rock stars out there, they have their specific songs that they make on their albums for the radio, and then
absolutely.
But you have to listen to the songs that aren't on the radio because that's what defines the artist. You can't go off their fucking, it's like people listening to Metallica and they're like, Enter Sandman. Like, bro, that is the worst song on that entire album.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Right. And then they're like, oh, Unforgiven. Like, no, again, don't listen to that song. Listen to all the other songs in between their type shit. But it's just you can't experience that anymore. You can't. You buy albums and they all sound like the same reverb shit back to back to back to back, especially all the rap shit. Rap these days sucks.
Yeah.
It really does. Rock music these days suck too. They all sound the same. It's all the same. There's no solos. There's no more solos.
Oh, dude, what was I listening to? Oh, so I've been watching stuff on TikTok, and it's a lot of people that are younger than us, millennials and Gen Z, whatever we're calling them now, all up in that age group, the younger millennials, Gen Zs, and they're listening to songs for the first time. And Freebird is one of the ones that keeps coming up with people listening to Freebird for the first time. And everybody's like, that is the sickest guitar solo I've ever heard. And it's true. Freebird has a magnificent guitar solo. They don't make songs like that anymore.
They don't make songs like no artist makes songs. The only artist that does still is Metallica. They're the only ones that still have solos in their fucking shit. They really are. Which, and it's sad to say, that they are, because Metallica fell off a long time ago too.
Yeah, they did.
Their last album was probably the most decent album they put out since they got rid of Jason Newsted, because that Saint Anger album sucked, and everything in between there sucked.
The funny thing is, they tried to say, and I shit you not, I remember this. What was the metal magazine that used to come out? Hit Parader?
Hit Parade was one of them, yeah, but there was also Metal.
Was it Metal Mania or something? Anyway, I don't remember what it was, but it was the magazine equivalent to Loudwire, right? And so they did an interview with Metallica when Saint Anger had just come out, and they said they didn't understand the backlash because it had more riffs more thrash riffs per song than Master of Puppets album.
Fuck no, it didn't.
And I'm like, you know what? When you have to try to sell me on riffs per minute versus good songs that fucking blast,
Metal Hammer.
yeah, you're just not doing your job, you know?
That was the name of the magazine, Metal Hammer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yo, you're right. You're absolutely. I fucking agree with you on that one. They did not, dude. That Saint Anger album sucked. Everybody was so looking forward to that album too, and when we turn it on, dude, I can't stand Lars's drums.
No,
and the way that they sound.
He is one of the worst drummers ever. I went through this whole thing. I complain about him all the time.
I mean, in the Saint Anger album, the way that the sound of the drums, the way that whatever noise that or the sound that it was putting off, I couldn't stand it. Couldn't stand it at all. It sounded like he was hitting trash cans to me. It sounded terrible. I agree with you though. I don't think he's a top 5 drummer of all time at all. I don't even think he's a top 10.
No, he's not. He's not even in the top 100 because the dude is a moderate drummer. Right. He is nowhere near good enough to be in the band that he is in. And I always wondered about that. Like, how is this dude like 50-50 in control of this fucking band when he's such a bad musician? He can't even play his own songs. He's not very good. Now, me, I'm not a drummer. I can't play as good as Lars. I admit that, but I'm not in fucking Metallica, right?
Right.
So, honest judgment, for me, in my opinion, he is nowhere near good enough to be in Metallica. And I always wondered, why does this guy have 50-50 with Hetfield, and
because they're the founding members of the band.
But there's more to it than that. Why would they have not kicked him out early on, realizing he was a terrible drummer?
Because he was the business side of it.
Because he was the money side of it. His father funded the band. There was no real struggle days of Metallica like they try to present. The truth is, every single little thing was paid for by Lars's father so Metallica could make it.
It was. And that's how they got their vans, and they were able to move around state to state and go city to city, club to club. That's how they were able to survive, pay rent.
And that's how they ended up growing, was off of Lars's family's money. He's from a very wealthy family.
But now they're all billionaires.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Lars's dad was wasn't he a tennis player or some shit? He was like a famous tennis player.
Some shit like that.
Yeah. Half the music world can't even stand Lars.
Yeah.
I think if I was going to label anybody the best drummer ever, I would go with Vinnie Paul from Pantera. And that's because nobody can hit the double bass drum like he can. And he is fast, and he has rhythms to it. They all sound different. They're not all the same shit. So I would go with Vinnie Paul from Pantera. That would be my number one. I'm not a fan of Rush. So I wouldn't. I
was about to say my number one is fucking Neil Peart, dude.
Yeah, everybody goes with Neil Peart. I'm not a fucking fan of Rush.
And let me tell you this: up until just a few years ago, I was absolutely not a fan of Rush. However, I did have an opinion about Rush, and that opinion was I respect them because they're good. They're just not my type of music. And then I started listening to them a little more. And I'm like, not only are these guys good, they are better technical players than anyone else out there. They can do things that nobody else can do. And so you either have respect for Rush or you're a fan of Rush. You don't have to be both,
My perspective of Rush is fuck Rush.
What? Why would you say such a thing?
I've listened to them. I've listened to albums. It's just I don't like Rush.
So they're not. So they're not your jam. They're not your type of music. That's okay. That's understandable. Everybody has different tastes. Do you at least recognize how technically proficient they are as musicians?
No, because I don't care. No, I don't think Geddy Lee's a fucking great bass player at all.
What?
At all. Neil Peart, I mean, maybe he's he can line up there in the greatest drummers of all time, but he would never make my top 10 at all. And that's just because I don't listen to Rush. I don't like Rush. I don't like their rhythms. I don't like the way Geddy Lee sounds. I really don't like the way he looks. He looks like Loki on crack. Um, I'm not into it. I'm not into that
Okay,
whole vibe. I'm not into that whole space starship style type of fucking classic rock type of
so
music.
I'm gonna throw this out there,
Well, I
and
shouldn't say that I'm not because I'm really into fucking Pink Floyd. So, but who
everybody's
isn't?
into Pink Floyd,
I
man.
know. Well, I'm saying like the Starship style stuff. Pink
Yeah,
Floyd's pretty out there if you want to get fucking Starshipy. And I like Styx. I like Foreigner. I listen to those dudes.
right.
I like Def Leppard. And a lot of people don't like Def Leppard. So yeah, we got everybody loves Zeppelin. I don't love Zeppelin, but I like Zeppelin. You
Right.
know, um,
You know, you
Jimmy,
know.
you gotta like Jimmy. Fuck Nirvana too.
Oh, fuck you. Okay, so do you want to know who I think the most underrated drummer out there is?
Sure.
Like criminally underrated.
Yeah, let's
Matthew
hear it.
McDonough.
I don't know who that is.
He is the drummer for fucking Mudvayne.
Oh, okay.
That dude is a fucking beast. He's the drummer on every single one of their albums.
Yes, he is. They
And
never did. Nobody died in that band.
nope. And you know what? They were good enough to go from gimmicky face painters to just a solid fucking metal band.
I no. I think they sold out a little. I do. I'm gonna say that they sold out a little. They went a little too main. They went mainstream, and I think they
What
went
with like
mainstream to make money
with
because
well
that
at
first
some point
Mudvayne album
you
is
kind of got to LD50.
it's phenomenal.
Oh, it is.
Oh, it's phenomenal. But then you get the second album, and they took off the face paint. And
Yeah, I was okay with that.
the second album is okay. It wasn't as good as
It's
the first.
right, but it's got some.
We had second album blues, and
Yeah,
then they
but we
came out with the third album, and it wasn't any better than the second album.
yeah, but we had some nice little radio hits out of it.
I'm
Like
not
you
worried.
said, everybody's got to sell out a little bit to get on that radio to sell albums.
But it was only like one song
Nah, it was two.
on the second album.
I think so. Not Falling and Happy.
Yes, you're right. Okay, right. But everything in between that was okay.
Yeah.
It was okay though. It wasn't like that first
But
album.
you
So
know
good.
what's weird?
Dude, I'm listening. You know what? Ozzy's off the track. When I get in the car tomorrow, I'm putting on LD50. I am. I gotta listen to it. I love that album, dude.
This is not a joke. I actually heard of Mudvayne because our local rock station, who was supposedly the alternative choice, was playing shit like Hootie and the Blowfish. One Saturday night at midnight, they played Dig, and I went and bought the CD the next fucking day. I'm like,
that's a good song to amp yourself up to. The beginning of it, yeah. That's a good song to fucking amp yourself up to, man. It really is. I can't wait to put that on the car tomorrow.
Yeah.
7:00 in the morning.
Another song that hypes me up like that is I Will Be Heard by Hatebreed.
I love Hatebreed. No, I love Hatebreed. Oh, I've seen them live. I love Hatebreed. Oh yeah, I've only seen them live once. I was I don't know if you've ever heard of the band Chimera.
Yes.
I love Chimera. Like I've seen Chimera 15 times. I love Chimera, man. I've seen Chimera open up for fucking Danzig, and then Danzig did a fucking Misfit encore with Doyle. That was cool. Chimera came to a club in Rochester, and this is probably like 2009. They came to a club in Rochester, and Hatebreed was the headlining act. Chimera was the opening act for Hatebreed. And dude, Jamie Josta live is fucking awesome. Holy shit, is he on? I mean, he's great on an album, but live, dude. I mean, that's a band that strives on live shows. Yo, he is fucking awesome, man.
Do you know about, it was 12 years ago now, 10, 12 years ago, there was a band just starting out. Now, one of the biggest music festivals in the United States, and it's every year. When I was a kid, we would go, and it was like
Ozfest?
$5 a ticket, and now it'll cost you $400 a ticket, and there's 200,000 people there.
What?
Jazz Fest in New Orleans. So we used to go to Jazz Fest, and like you would bring a blanket and you'd lay out in the grass at the fairgrounds,
Yeah.
and the bands would play. And now there's just like so many crowds of people. The only reason for me to go to Jazz Fest is to get that burrito for $8 that's like this big around and like this long.
Right.
Other than that, I ain't sticking them crowds out. But about 10, 12 years ago, there was a band that had a song on the radio for about a month, and you had 9 Inch Nails that year. You had Dave Matthews that year. There was a lot of top selling artists that were there, right?
Right.
To this day, the only band they talk about was that band that was only on the radio for a month before they got there.
What band?
AWOL Nation.
I never even heard of them.
If you have not seen AWOL Nation live, you are missing some shit.
I never even heard of them.
You don't know the song Sail?
I don't think so.
Blame it on my ADD. Blame it on my ADD, baby.
Maybe not. Hang on. Is it AWOL?
Yeah, hold on. Hold on.
Blame it on the alcohol, you mean?
No, hold on.
Oh, hang on a second. Hang on. What is this? AWOL Nation. Nope. I do not. That's not. I don't like that though. The way that they were playing the music. So I would literally hit the channel. Yeah. Yep. I was just listening to it.
All right. So hold on, because I definitely
Nope.
have a.
I would change the radio station as soon as I heard that. As soon as I heard his voice, I would change the station. Don't like his voice. We're gonna get hit with copyright.
It's a weird thing with AWOL Nation. So, hold on a second.
No, I would hit the
Okay,
channel.
so the name of the song
That's
is
not my style.
Kill Your Heroes. So it's weird because no two AWOL Nation songs sound alike, but every song sounds like AWOL Nation.
Okay. Which makes sense.
Yeah. And I was trying to tell somebody not too long ago, like if I had to pick a modern equivalent of Pink Floyd, it would be AWOL Nation. They blow it out in concert, and that their music is fully experimental from one song to the next. You know what I mean?
Right, because no song sounds the same.
Right. And
Right.
I always felt that way about Pink Floyd. Like you don't also they deal with more concepts.
I just thought Pink Floyd was high.
Well, they deal with a lot of concepts in AWOL Nation, and that is also something that Pink Floyd did, but they went
Right.
a lot deeper into it, is that there were like all these deep concepts layered on top of each other.
So here's a funny thing, like, because everybody loves Pink Floyd, right? Everybody likes Pink Floyd, right?
Right.
I had never heard a Pink Floyd song until I was 17, and this is a little story, right? I've never listened to an album, never listened to a Pink Floyd song, right? I'm 17. I got the house to myself. My mom's 800 miles away down in Kentucky visiting my brother. It's summertime. I just get out of work. I got acid, right? And my boys got acid. So we go to my house, we take some acid, and my neighbor Noop, he's like, yo, we should watch The Wizard of Oz. And I'm like, why the fuck would we watch? I'm tripping on acid. I'm like, why the fuck would we watch The Wizard of Oz? He's like, man, trust me. He's like, we're gonna put on Pink Floyd. I'm like, who the fuck is Pink Floyd? I never listened to classic rock before I was 17, anything like that before I was 17. I'm like, who the fuck is Pink Floyd? So he goes next door, he grabs a VHS tape, and I had a CD player in the living room, and he does the thing, right? And he puts on Dark Side of the Moon with fucking Pink Floyd, and I'm tripping on acid. That was like the greatest thing ever. First time ever hearing Pink Floyd. Not the first time watching The Wizard of Oz, of course, but probably the first time since I was a kid. But watching that, tripping on acid, and listening to that was like an experience in itself for me. And right after that, he put on The Wall, and I'd never seen The Wall, and I've never listened to that album prior to I'm talking about The Wall, the video, not the
Yeah,
CD. I never listened
right.
to
You're
anything
talking
Pink
about
Floyd before this.
the
So
movie.
the movie. So I'm experiencing Pink Floyd for the very, very, very first time ever in my life, tripping on acid. And dude, that was like the greatest thing ever. The one vivid part in my head that I remember of The Wall, the movie, is when I don't remember what part of the song it was or what song they were playing, but when the cartoon army guy melted into his M1 Grand gun, and then his skull was on top of the gun on the barrel. It's like a vivid memory etched in my
Uh-huh.
head. You know, like that was like I will never be able to experience that ever again in my life the way that I experienced that before. So that was great. So that was the first time that I ever listened to and I ever experienced Pink Floyd. So ever since then, because of acid, I was a Pink Floyd fan. Like not kidding. Like the next day, I'm like, man, what were we listening to, and what was that movie we were
I
watching?
need more of this.
Yeah, I did. I said that. I'm like, I need more of this. And then my buddy was like, "Yo, that was Pink Floyd, The Wall." I'm like, I went to Circuit City. Circuit City was still open. I went to Circuit City and I bought The Wall, the double-sided album, and I listened to it back to back. Fucking blazing weed in my car, driving home and shit with my boy. And
So
dude, it was great. And I've
so
been
a
a Pink
couple
Floyd fan ever since.
so a couple years ago, uh I told you my wife's father is retired and he's a traveler now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And he has no idea you smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Rick, that plays into the story a little bit. So Rick calls us, my father-in-law, and he's like, "Hey, do you guys want to go to a concert?" And we're like, "Okay, let's go." What's the concert? And he says it's Brit Floyd, which
Okay.
is a British
Yeah.
band that plays
Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd, right? And they've been touring for 20 years. They're
Yeah.
really fucking good. So
I've heard of them, but I've never seen them.
So when we were there, you could close your eyes and not tell the difference because
Yeah.
these guys have been honing it for 20 years, right? When they did Wall, they brought out the local fourth graders to sing the kids' parts.
Oh, that's cool.
It was great. But the thing is, Brit Floyd plays around here about once a year, but it wasn't here. He was like, we're going to go to Red Rocks to see him in Colorado.
Okay.
And we were like, fuck yeah. So I saw Brit Floyd at Red Rocks and it was absolutely phenomenal.
See, that's an experience in itself right there, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
And two things with that is number one, I didn't smoke the whole time we were there.
Right.
Because I was with my father-in-law.
Good for you.
Not a single cigarette. We were gone for like 5 days.
See, at that point I'd be quitting.
No, he did learn that I vape though, because I wasn't going all out. And so also I have to mention, because I really hope my wife is listening now, because she should be off work. She bought, this is before New York was legal for marijuana and stuff. She bought a vape pen in Colorado, and we're right outside of Denver at Red Rocks, right? So the altitude, it's mile high, right? So she buys a vape pen, Joel, 2 different times within 30 minutes in the parking lot of Red Rocks. This. She just passed out. She passed out. She says it had nothing to do with the vape pen. It could have been lack of water and dehydration from altitude sickness or whatever.
It was a vape pen.
Oh, I think so too. But then, like, she was feeling fine, Later, we went on into the concert because we were just hanging out in the parking lot beforehand. And then we get back to the house we rented that night. And she's like, oh yeah, that was fun, but I'm ready for bed. I'm ready to go to sleep. And I was like, you shouldn't be tired. You took a couple fucking naps today. I'm like, I saw you sleeping in the parking lot at Red Rocks.
That's good shit.
You can't let them rest.
No, but yeah, man, Floyd's great. I mean, some people think Floyd's overrated. I'm a person that doesn't think Floyd's overrated. Some people might think Rush is overrated. That would be me, So it is what it is when it comes to certain bands like that. But it's the way that you experience the band for the first time and you become a fan of them is
Right.
how you enjoy them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then
Like,
that's where it comes into, is it overrated to you? Is it overhyped? Is it played out? Or is it like the radio? I don't want to hear, they play the same fucking five Pink Floyd songs on the radio. They play the same fucking six fucking Led Zeppelin songs on the radio. You know, all the same shit's played on the radio all the fucking time, and it's the songs that you got to listen to in between those radio tracks.
yeah, I
That's
don't care about Zeppelin. If I never heard Zeppelin for the rest of my life, it wouldn't affect me one way or the other.
I agree with you on that. I agree. I agree with
Like,
you on that 100%.
like when it comes to Zeppelin, it's like, yo, I appreciate the contributions you made to rock and
Right.
roll. I appreciate the bands that I love that you inspired to become musicians, but you're not my jam.
No, nobody's ever gonna hear me say, "Let me put on that Zeppelin album."
Yeah.
You're never gonna hear that come out of my mouth. You're gonna hear me. You're gonna probably hear me say, "Let me put on that Rush album," before I say, "Let me put on that Zeppelin album." And
Hey,
I
bro,
like
you want to
Zeppelin.
listen to Zoso?
Yeah,
No?
right. What is Zoso? Is that a Zeppelin album?
I think so.
Either way. So, I mean, you probably actually hear me say you want to listen to this Pantera album before we fucking put on anything else.
Yeah.
So that's my jam right there, man. And I finally got to see them for the first time this year too. So, because I was too young when they were out and they were touring, I was too young. I couldn't go to those shows.
Oh, I could.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't even
did.
afford a ticket. My mom, I had no way to get to those shows.
So when I was really young, all through my teenage years, my early 20s, I'm from a music city. So I went to concerts. Right. Live music was my jam. We went to a lot of concerts, but at the same time, we had like Tipitinas and Howlin' Wolf and shit like that, which were clubs in live music clubs in New Orleans. But like, you ain't shit if you ain't ever played at Tips. Right. You ain't shit if you ain't ever played at the Howlin' Wolf. So all of these bands that were later famous, we saw for $3 at Tipitinas.
There you go.
When we were 18.
That's the plus side about living in a city like that.
Right. So I had been, by the time I was probably 25 years old, I'd probably been to over 200 concerts and music shows. It was like a huge part of my later teen years, early 20s, was just live music, man. I saw so many bands that nobody's ever heard from again, and I saw so many bands that went on to become super famous. I remember my buddy had a band called Aisle 9 because he was a heavy coffee drinker. In the one grocery store around us, the coffee was on Aisle 9. So that was the name of his band. And he would do these shows and like nobody would show up. They'd like play at a skating rink or, they rent out a VFW hall and nobody would show up. Their opening band went on to become super famous. And I remember being at one of their shows when I was one of only 3 people there to watch them play. And they still played full sets, but the band was 3 doors down.
Oh, really?
That was my friend's openers at like most of their shows. Yes.
That's crazy. That band sucks.
I hated the song Kryptonite by the time I heard it on the radio because I had heard it so many times before they ever started playing it on the radio.
I hated it immediately. Like immediately I hated it because it was a song about, everybody. It was a Superman song. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't like Superman.
I mean, hey, if I'm going to listen to a Superman song, it's going to be Our Lady Peace.
Yes. I dig Our Lady Peace a lot, actually. So, I really like the LP.
I went to a concert like 2 years ago, I think it was, and it was Bush and it was live. And we went to Bethel Wood.
Like live.
Yeah. Oh, so Ed Kowalczyk, the lead singer on Live. Let me say this for anybody that ever listens to this. And Joe, know this to be true. It is a fact. You know how some bands sound better on the radio or on the CD than they do in person?
Yeah.
Ed Kowalczyk with Live is the exact opposite. They cannot capture this guy's vocals properly on a CD.
Oh, I believe that.
He
I believe
sounds
that.
10 times better in person, and he sounds great on CDs. But we get there, and Bush is playing, Live is playing. We were at Bethel Woods, which was the original site of Woodstock. It wasn't actually in Woodstock.
Yeah.
It was at
I know
place
that.
called, yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so that's
yeah,
only 20 minutes from here.
Right. Yeah, because you're downstate.
Yeah. And we get there, and it's still light out. It hadn't quite got dark yet. And they announced the opening band, and I didn't even know there was going to be a third band, and it was Our Lady Peace. And
Oh, that's awesome.
I was super fucking stoked. I was super stoked.
That was probably what, like late 90s, early 2000s too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's definitely pretty cool. You know, the one random band that I've seen a bunch of times, 5 times actually, fucking Dave Matthews Band. My best friend growing up, Anthony, he was a huge Dave Matthews Band fan. So the first time, he was my second concert I ever went to actually. My first concert was Kiss when I was 12, and then a year later when I was 13, my buddy Anthony wanted to go to Dave Matthews, and he wanted me to come with him because we were best friends. So his parents bought me the ticket, and then his uncle Jimmers took us to the concert, and that was good. That was at the arena at the Sabres Arena. Went back when it was HSBC or Marine Midland. So that was cool. And then I seen him a bunch of times at Darien Lake. Dave Matthews Band is a band that I can't listen to on CD. I cannot. Right? I've tried. I can't listen to him. I can't listen to a Dave Matthews Band album on CD. But live, I can enjoy him live because he puts on a great show. He sounds good. The music is jamming. He does more live than he does on his albums.
Right.
And I'm not a Dave Matthews Band fan at all. If somebody today was like, hey, do you want to fucking go to a Dave Matthews Band concert? If the ticket was free, I would say yes. If I had to pay for it, I would say no.
Right.
That's not something that I would jump on right away at all. But Dave Matthews Band live, back in the early 2000s, late 90s, was a really cool band to see live. Now, the people in the atmosphere sucked because it was like an Abercrombie and Fitch convention, and there were so many fights. There were so many fights at the Dave Matthews Band concert every single time, and it was all the jock dudes.
Yeah, and you go see Pantera, and there's no fights.
No, nothing like that at all. You know what I mean? You go to a heavy metal concert, there's no fights. But you go to a Dave Matthews Band concert, and all these fucking jock-ass fucking Abercrombie and Fitch bitches fucking fighting because you're looking at their girlfriend or something, you know? And, the girls at the Dave Matthews Band concerts were pretty hot, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, obviously.
Because they're the Abercrombie and Fitch kind of girls.
Right.
So, yeah, that was the most random band I've seen so many times in my lifetime was Dave Matthews Band.
You notice that the only kind of beef you ever have at a metal show are crowd killers in the mosh pit?
Yeah, well, I don't mosh, but yeah.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. Just the one guy that's an asshole, and he's punching people and trying to hurt people. He's a crowd killer.
But when people catch on to that, they beat the piss out of him.
Absolutely. And that's like the only drama at metal shows are crowd killers.
Yeah. Yo, the best concert I ever went to, though, was Godsmack. The first time they ever came to Buffalo was 4 days after 9/11. On the first time they ever came. And 9/11 happened 4 days beforehand. I think 9/11 happened on a Monday, and the Godsmack concert was that Friday. Dude, that was the craziest concert. There were so many bikers at that concert. There were so many people. There were a lot of racial things getting thrown around. A lot of racial stuff getting thrown around. But it was the craziest concert I ever. People pounding on the stalls in the bathroom, screaming "USA, USA!" It was the craziest fucking concert. Craziest concert I've ever been to.
I've seen Godsmack at a festival. They have one in Biloxi, Mississippi. I don't know if they still have it. They had it for many years, and I went every year up until I moved. It was called CPR Fest.
Okay.
And dude, they had a lot of big names there. I actually met Jared Leto, that fucking prick. I didn't know he was going to be a prick. He was very nice in person. 30 Seconds to Mars was just starting out. Anyway, not to get sidetracked, but when Godsmack played, now this is an entire festival with 3 different stages. And at festival shows, a lot of these bigger bands get fucking lazy, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
They do, 5 songs of their greatest hits, and that's their set. Godsmack played like you paid $300 just to see them.
I believe that. Yeah,
and
that I believe.
I'd been to so many festivals, Infest, Voodoo Fest, CPR Fest. I went to all of them every year, Jazz Fest, and I was used to the superstar bands playing lazy for festivals.
Right.
And then Godsmack was just out of the fucking woodwork. Hey, we're going to treat you like you paid every single penny just to see us. And they blew it out the fucking water. That's also the same place I went to the Family Values tour, which was amazing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I went to Family Values. Dude.
Which year?
The first year.
98?
I can't fucking remember what year
was that the one. Was that the one with Ice Cube and fucking Ice Cube was on tour with them? There was Rammstein, Korn, and Limp Bizkit.
And Stained and Orgy.
That was Orgy was on that. Orgy was on 98, but Stained wasn't on 98.
Yeah. So
Orgy, there's a band I haven't heard in a long time.
Dude, I still listen to them.
Yeah, I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, fucking Orgy, great band, dude.
Yeah, good band.
And the lead singer of Orgy's like fucking 6'9", and he's just a super skinny guy. Yeah. Best concert I ever been to, probably the Marilyn Manson Dead to the World tour when he was doing Antichrist Superstar.
Okay.
Best concert. Second was right about that same time, Rob Zombie's tour.
Okay.
Was fucking phenomenal.
And I never got to see.
He had like 20-foot robots breathing fire walking across the stage.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
And Manson, he had like 8 costume changes in that show. Like it's a full theatrical production.
I've seen Alice Cooper a bunch of times too. My best show was
Alice Cooper at Bethel Woods.
nothing can top that Godsmack show. I've seen Godsmack randomly another 6 times throughout my life after that show. I've seen Godsmack. They played at Shays Performing Arts Center. They came to Darien Lake a bunch of times. I randomly, nothing ever topped that first show that I ever seen them at. And I think when you talk about bands getting lazy, I think that band got lazy as time has gone on. I know it's been like 25 years that they've been around now, but if you see them now,
Sully was like 21. Look at the Whatever video.
Well, yeah, and his whole attitude towards music was completely different too. His inspiration was Dimebag and Pantera and Phil Anselmo. Then he kind of like went on to do I think the fame got to him a little bit, especially with him doing solo stuff. Like I think he's that guy where the fame got to him, and you can see now that his shows are more lazy, or they're not as spectacular and they're not as energetic as what they were 20 years ago. And I don't want to say that came with age because I see Metallica. Metallica put on a fantastic show every time I see Metallica. Same band I've seen every single time. So they put on a fantastic fucking show and they rock every single time. Godsmack, not the same energy, man. And I go to that show the second time I seen them. I went to that show expecting the same energy from that first show, and it wasn't the same. And it kind of ruined it for me. Like for Godsmack. I mean, dude, I got Godsmack tattoos, right? It's not the reason why I got the tattoo, but I obviously have Godsmack tattoos. I don't listen to Godsmack after the second album. The first 2 albums are the only Godsmack albums that I'll listen to.
Right.
Because they're the heaviest ones. Everything else after that, Sully's trying to be all acapella and fucking, he's not screaming. He's not. It's like
I often wonder what happened to that girl on the cover of the first album.
That's a good question.
Oh, dude, you know what? Even to this day, I'm like, that chick was hot.
Well, it's like the first Stained album. Have you listened to the first Stained album?
Yes, and you know what? I have to admit that Stained suckered me. And they suckered me like they did a lot of people because their first single was fucking Mud Shovel. Yeah. And it was not a super heavy song, but it was fairly heavy.
Heavy enough.
And then every other song they ever fucking made was just Aaron Lewis crying out of his fucking diary.
Yeah.
That's every song. To my mother, to my father.
Well, dude, the albums after that first album, at least. is
Yep.
what you mean, right? Yeah, because that first album for Stained is phenomenal. It's great. The whole album back to back is fucking phenomenal. To me, it is at least.
Right.
Every album after that is fucking terrible. You're right. They suckered us. They
Yeah.
suckered us hard, man. He went from to he went pussy. He
Yep.
straight went pussy on us.
Yep.
It sucks, man.
Well, now
I
he's a
seen
fucking
I
country artist.
what the fuck is that, right? How do you go from
So is
metal to
Hootie.
country?
What the?
Dude, I seen Stained on their first album at the Burt Flickinger Center downtown, and that's not a big venue. It's just like a fucking it's just like a basketball gym downtown at the ECC college, man. On their first album, I seen them live.
Right.
That was a great live show to see, man. I really like Stained, and then when they came out with that second album, I was really really excited about that second album, as I'm sure lots of people were. And then, dude, it was one of those CDs I threw out the window. I'm not kidding.
Okay. So who
I was driving, I took it out and I launched it. I'm like, fuck this thing.
I'm gonna ask you, and then I'll give you mine. Who is the absolute worst band you've ever seen live? It could be at a solo concert or at a festival, whatever.
Oh, the worst band I ever seen live? I don't know. I never put that on there.
I have a very firm one.
I can't. Let me hear yours first.
Crazy Town.
That I could understand.
They had the song Butterfly, and now
I like that album.
Oh my god,
Hold on.
dude!
But hang on. I liked Crazy Town before they came out with the Butterfly song, because MTV used to play that underground shit at night, and one of their songs was on there. Because of that song, I went out and I bought the album, so I knew the Butterfly song before it hit the radio. So I liked that first Crazy Town album. Well, at least I used to. I thought that was a decent album back in the day in the 90s. It was a 90s album.
I thought they were an okay band. They weren't really my cup of tea, but I went to Voodoo Fest one year, and there was a bunch of different people at that show. As a matter of fact, Stained was there, Papa Roach was there, a bunch of other bands. But let me tell you, Crazy Town was the worst. It was like they just picked 5 random people out of the crowd to play songs that they had never played.
Right. Worst band I seen live, Queensryche.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't like Queensryche live at all. I seen them. Darien Lake is the big place to see concerts in Buffalo, and they opened up for Ozzy. It was an Ozzy tour that not Ozzy. It was a Black Sabbath tour because fucking Tony Iommi was there. I met Tony Iommi. I'll tell you that same day I met Tony Iommi. But Queensryche opened up for Black Sabbath at Darien Lake that year, and it was terrible, absolutely terrible. Worst thing I heard. So, funny story about Tony Iommi. I'm at the Galleria Mall the day of the concert with my buddy Kenny. I forgot what we went there for, but we went there for something, and we're walking through the mall, and I shit you not, Tony Iommi goes walking past us. Like, we're walking towards him, he's walking towards us. We made eye contact with the guy, and me and my buddy, we walked past him, and my buddy Kenny and I both stop and look at each other, and we go, is that? And the guy turned around, Tony Iommi turned his head towards us, and we waved, and he stopped. And then he started walking towards us, and we walked towards him, and we walked up to him and go, hey man, we know who you are, and we just want to shake your hand. And that was it. And we just shook his hand, and he said, thank you. And we said, we're going to the concert tonight. And he said, thank you. And that was it. That was my interaction with Tony Iommi.
Dude, I have 2 stories that are so weird, they're almost unbelievable, of famous musicians that I've met. Now, I've met numerous, and the reason I've met numerous is simply because when I was younger, and like I said, I went to a lot of concerts. My friend Aaron, his stepdad, his name was Voz Beamer, and he was the head of security. What a cool fucking name, right?
Yeah, right? What a cool fucking name, man.
Fucking Voz Beamer. So
yeah,
Voz was head of security for Beaver Productions. Now, Beaver Productions actually ran the concerts from Florida to fucking Texas, all along the Gulf Coast. If there was a major concert, it was being run by Beaver Productions.
Okay.
Right. And so Vaz was head of security. So we would get security jobs at the concert. 21 years old, 22 years old. We'd go to the concert. We'd wear yellow security shirts, or sometimes they were black with white lettering. Before the concert, really, we just stood around in the hallway outside the rooms, the dressing rooms, make sure nobody snuck in. During the concert, we worked the area in between the pit, in between the stage and the guardrail. For when people were crowd surfing, if they got thrown over, we'd help them get their way back up. Easy gig, right? And every concert's free at that point. So I had multiple interactions with musicians because of this, because we were backstage the whole day before the show. David Dramian from Disturbed had...
Great band.
Yes, absolutely. So,
also
Disturbed
great band to see live too.
Yeah. So my friend Ray and I are security in that hallway, and Ray has David Dramian's door, and he's right across from me. And I have the bass player's door. I don't know who it is, but basically we're just standing outside the doors. So we're just standing there talking. It had been several hours. We hadn't seen anybody, figured these guys were taking naps in their dressing rooms or whatever. And, Ray goes, Bill, I got to fart really bad. And I'm like, fucking fart, dude. Who cares? And not 2 seconds after he farted, David Dramian walks out the fucking door and does like this. Oh, fuck! And then took off running towards the buffet tables. Apparently, he had just woke up from a nap. He sucked that fart straight in, dude. So he comes back. And before he gets too close to us, he's like, is it safe to come back through? And I'm dying laughing.
And David Dramian's voice too. Is it safe to come back through?
Right. and I was like, yeah, man, it's good. And he starts laughing. He's like fucking wild and walks back in the dressing room.
And he starts laughing. David
Yeah,
I can picture it in my head. Totally just picture it in my head.
So that is one of my weird celebrity musician encounters. And the other one sounds like something that would be made up, but it's so weird that there's no way it could be.
What's the other one? Let's hear it.
Maynard James Keenan from Tool.
You met Maynard James Keenan?
I met Maynard. By the way,
was it one of these tours where your friend? Were you doing security?
Yes, okay. We were doing security, and we actually did 3 Tool shows in 3 days.
Okay.
And by the way, they played a different set for every show. It was cool. Like Florida, Louisiana, and Texas. All right. Okay. So 3 Tool shows, 3 days. So I'm outside of Maynard's dressing room, and again, hadn't seen anybody for a while. And me and my buddy, we just bullshitting in the hallway. That's what we do. Just our whole job is to make sure nobody disturbs them. Right. And Maynard walks out of his dressing room, and you're instructed not to look him in the eye unless he looks you in the eye, because he's actually kind of short.
Okay.
And they say, like,
he's a weird guy too.
Yeah. So, he walks out of his room, and he's got a fucking bag of popcorn because he had a popcorn machine it was on his rider. He has to have a popcorn machine in his dressing room. Okay. And he's like, and he walks out, and he just stands next to me like I'm not standing there, like side to side.
Right.
And he's looking up and down the hallway, eating popcorn. And then he just goes, hey, do you want some popcorn? And I was like, sure. And he handed me the bag of popcorn and went back in his room. And
that's a normal experience for him.
I'm like, fucking nobody will ever believe this happened, because Maynard James Keenan gave me fucking popcorn.
Of all fucking things.
Right.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Hey, man, do you want some popcorn?
Right. Disturbed is one of those bands too that I've seen a bunch of times live randomly, but they're so that's a band that I would go see anytime. If somebody was like, you want to go to a Disturbed concert? I'm like, yo, here's my mic, let's go. They sound, and they put on the same show. Well, not the same show, but they have the same energy for their
Right.
shows every single time you go to see them. So
Absolutely.
and then again, talking about experience, how did you experience these bands for the first time? The first time I ever heard Disturbed was the Stupefied song, but it was
Right.
on MTV at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know, when they were playing all that random music shit back in the day that you never heard of, and all these bands that are no names at that point that just want to be on MTV. And I heard that song for the first time, like, oh, this song is cool. And then I heard it on the radio like 6 months later, and I'm like, that's fucking Disturbed, Stupefy. I'm like, I know that song,
Yep.
because I have the album, and I'm like, this is cool, man. So that's Disturbed is always one of those bands that I'm always gonna like too, man. Their
Yep.
energy, dude. He's also one of those bands that sounds just like the album.
Yeah.
So I thought that they were putting on a fake show the first time I seen them, because I'm like, there's no way you sound spot on to your album like this live. I'm like, I've never heard a band like this before, and
He's
his
got back
voice
in
too.
tracks.
Yeah,
But
right.
no.
His voice too. No, that's them.
Yeah.
That's just what they do and how they do it, and they
So
sound phenomenal.
we worked concert for security for one concert at the Cow Palace in Jackson, Mississippi. And it was a band I was not a fan of at all. I had heard them on the radio, and I'm like, I do not fucking like these guys, but I'll work the concert, you
Right.
know? When I left there, I had so much respect for this band because I'm like, you know what? These guys are really fucking talented. And it was Incubus.
I like Incubus.
And after, like, there was a very specific part of the concert.
I don't like Rush or Nirvana, but I like Incubus.
So there was a very specific part of the concert that made me respect Incubus and really got me into them. Is, I felt like they were a little too poppy for me,
Right. Okay, I could see
and
that.
it wasn't really my jam. And then in the middle of their concert, a lot of concerts, they do that super high energy and then they bring it down. And then towards the end, they bring it back up.
Yeah.
Incubus, to bring it down, stops all of these songs like fucking Stellar and Drive and stuff like that. They're little poppy party songs.
Yeah.
And they drag 2 stools out to the edge of the stage, and just the lead singer and the guitarist with an acoustic guitar does a couple songs like that with just them two doing a little mini acoustic set in the middle of the concert.
They're an acoustic style band.
And I'm like, holy shit, these guys are way more talented than I thought they were. Because you can't fake an acoustic set. Not like that.
No. You know what band you're going to laugh at me for this, for saying that I like and that I enjoy?
Tesla.
Good Charlotte. And I like Tesla. I do like Tesla. Good Charlotte. I like Saigon Kick too.
Wait. All right. Saigon Kick you can like, but.
And Firehouse.
Wait. My sister, her wedding song to her first husband was Love of a Lifetime by Firehouse. I finally found the love of a lifetime.
Yeah, that's the album. Everybody knows that album.
Terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I like my hair bands, but yeah, I like Good Charlotte.
Ugh.
That you can be disgusting about it. That's fine. I like Good Charlotte, man.
You know what? We all have our bands that we might not admit to enjoying too much. Because how people are going to react. So I'm going to let you in on a secret about me, Joel. And it's something that all of my best friends know. And since there's not a ton of people watching right now, I can let it out.
Publicly?
I actually listen to a fair amount of bubblegum pop. We're talking, I am a huge fan of Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Pink.
So am I.
Pink, I think, is one of the best female vocalists of the last 20 years.
She's good. I'm just not into her.
Right.
I respect her. Madonna.
Not really Madonna. I'll listen to NSYNC.
What about Whitney?
Boys. Whitney Houston, yes.
I listen to NSYNC and Backstreet Boys. I'm not afraid to love. I'm not a big 98 Degrees fan, but yeah, wedding.
Boys to Men, definitely, but that ain't.
I like One Direction. I like my 1D.
ABBA is where it's at. Okay.
ABBA's good.
So I got a funny ABBA thing.
Here's the thing. When it comes to music, before you go into your ABBA story, just real quick, when it comes to music, don't ever be ashamed to say what kind of music you like and what kind of music you're into. You know, we growing up, we would get made fun of if we listened to certain things, right?
Oh yeah, without
Yeah,
a doubt.
but now you can still make fun of me for it. I don't give a fuck. I like it.
Right,
I'm gonna
right.
listen to it.
And
I
that's how
fucking
I
like it.
feel now.
Yeah, that's why I was like, yo, you're gonna give me shit about Good Charlotte, man. I'm not afraid to admit that I like Good Charlotte. I fucking like Good Charlotte. You like Pink? You listen to Pink. I love Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga's
Yeah,
great. Lady Gaga is the
super
Madonna of this
talented.
generation.
Oh
Tell
yeah.
tell me your ABBA story though.
Oh, so for years, I was really, really good friends with this guy, and I still am, but we lost touch for a long time. You know, life moves in different ways, and it's my buddy Rob. Now, the thing about Rob is Rob's gay. All right.
Okay,
So Rob and I used to go out
nothing wrong with
together.
that.
No, not at all. Rob and I were besties. We were like this, right? We would go out together all the time and we'd go to clubs and stuff like that. And here's the thing, man. If you got a gay best friend and you a dude, you are the safest guy in that place. Women are attracted to the gay guy. They want to hang out with Rob. Rob's super funny. He's got all this charisma. Everybody loves Rob because he's got such a great personality. But then
Right.
Rob's like, you know, my boy Billy's straight. He'll take you down. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I hooked up with so many women just from being friends with Rob. But the truth was, like, me and Rob hung out because me and Rob loved hanging out. But Rob's thing was when Rob got drunk, he was the dancing queen. And no matter what club we was at, he would convince them to play dancing queen.
No shit.
And he'd be on his shit.
Hey man, whatever
Fucking,
whatever floats his boat, right? He's having a
oh,
good time. You're
dude.
having a good time.
I fucking love Rob, dude. To this day, I love Rob.
Rob sounds like a good time. Rob sounds like a guy I want to go out with.
Yeah, I never had more fun than going to clubs with Rob.
Dude, that clubbing experience is gone too, man. That whole
Yeah,
clubbing
it's
experience
gone.
is gone. It's not. It's been gone for like it's just gone.
You
know
know
what I
what?
mean?
I
It
got
died.
super lucky because when I didn't hit the clubs at a extremely young age. Like we would go to bars to see music, but I
Right.
didn't go to clubs because I got married very young. I had children very young. So I would go see music, but I wasn't going out to the clubs and shit like that. But so when I hit about 27, I really, well, 25, I started going to clubs. That's when I separated from my first wife. And I started going to clubs. Dude, I was in the club when shit like Juvenile, Back That Ass Up, you know, the Big Timers and
Yep.
all of that shit hit, you know, Bling Bling, Hood Rich, 3-6 Mafia, Stay Fly, like all of that, all of those bangers.
3-6. I love 3-6 Mafia.
Oh man.
Yo, I love 3-6 Mafia. I
Yep.
fucking do. I love them to death, man. That's a band. I'm not gonna listen to them tomorrow because I'm listening to Mudvayne, but 3-6 is a band that I could just I can listen to any one of those albums too. Sipping
They
on some
on
scissor, man.
playlist for sure.
Sipping on some scissor. That's it. That was the first song I ever heard from them too. Yo, I love
Dan,
3-6.
we're talking about Lady Gaga.
Gaga.
Lady Gaga. You gotta give
we should call
her
it though.
respect.
We do. We should call it though because I got to do a login at 10:30 and I got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, Joel. Fuck off.
We didn't even talk about games tonight. We're talking about music. GameOnia is not exactly talking about video games, people. We just talk about anything we want to talk about.
We just
We
be
talk
talking
about
about stuff.
strippers. We talk about scuttlebutts. We talk about popsicles. We
Dude,
talk
I
about
was gonna
buttercups.
tell
We talk
you
about music.
about a strip club I went to outside of Biloxi city limits. Save
it for next week.
I am. It's an unregulated strip club.
Oh shit! Oh shit! I can't wait to hear it. Next week it's all about the unregulated strip club. All right, let's
So
do
we're
that.
gonna get out of here. Everybody, y'all have a great night. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.